But there's one thing I hear a lot about social media. And it's from the young people who are saying, hey, I think I'm too young to get started, because it could be because you see a bunch of old people like us, real estate investing. You see very few young people being successful in real estate investing. You're like, well, clearly it's not for me. And this is what I want to talk about in this video, because nothing could be further from the truth. You are never too young to get started with real estate investing. Let's do this. Well, hey there, my name is Michael Blank. My mission is to help you become financially free with real estate by investing in multifamily syndications. We put out a video every single week, so make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a thing. Hey, our next Dealmaker Live event is coming up in the summer. Go to dealmakerliveevent.com and reserve your tickets. We have in-person tickets. We have virtual tickets. You're going to learn from the top syndication experts. We're going to talk about what we see in the market, what's coming up. So make sure you grab that dealmakerliveevent.com. Or if you're a young person, maybe high school, college age, maybe in your early mid-20s, and you're like, man, I've heard this real estate investing thing, but every time you look at a real estate investor, you know, they tend to be older. They tend to have 15, 20 years experience, and you're like, well, shoot, real estate investing clearly is not for me. And you put down your Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, and you say, hey, you know what, I'll pick it up again in 10 years. And I'm sorry for that. I apologize on behalf of the entire real estate investing community, because as I'll show you in this video, nothing could be further from the truth. You don't have to be older to invest in real estate. In fact, I'm going to share with a few stories with you right now where basically kids at 19 got started with real estate, and 2 years later, they're financially free. So you can do it as well. You know, your investing journey starts early in life. In fact, I teach my kids as early as 10 to 12 years about financial literacy. And so you can learn financial literacy really at almost any age. You know, playing games like Cash Flow 101, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, starting some small, innocent little businesses. So your journey really starts early on. I'm going to share with you just a few stories that we had previously on the podcast of young people who were successful very early on in life. One example is Kyle Marcotte. I interviewed him on episode 216 of the podcast. He was a pre-med student at UC Davis, I think. He was a Division I soccer player, had a pretty good life going. I'm like, why would you want to mess around with this? Instead, he got into real estate, did his first deal, quit his job, and by the time he was 21, he was financially free. And today, he's got a portfolio of 119 units valued at $5.5 million. He got started when he was 20 years old. Amazing. Another example is Josh Gorobowski. Episode 243. Now, he interned actually at a real estate investment firm, and he got a lot of great experience. We talked about that interning thing. And 2 years later, he created his own firm and focused on raising capital. He had raised $7 million after having started. So he was like in his early 20s when he managed a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Cody Davis, on the most recent one, episode 257. A 19-year-old, went to college, kind of kicking and screaming a little bit, didn't really love to do it. His parents insisted on it. And someone handed him Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which took him a year to read. He finally read it. And he realized that he did not want to, the trajectory was not what he wanted to do. He saw his friends partying and doing a bunch of stuff. He was like, it's not what I want. So instead, he convinced his parents to quit and instead got his real estate license. Now, he got lucky a little bit because the broker of that firm was actually also not just a broker, but also an investor. In fact, he encouraged all of his agents to also invest in real estate. So he was one of them. So he got the work ethic of calling on owners, but also investing at the same time. So through that, he got an off-market deal. And then he got the seller to finance that off-market deal, and then he borrowed money from some other agents in the office, and he closed on this. It was a 12-unit deal. At the time of the interview, he had 30 units. He was already financially free. He was covering his living expenses, which, of course, when you're young, are tiny. So he started at 19. By the age of 21, he's financially free. And so he had no real estate background. No one around him did real estate. He didn't have a rich uncle to fund it. It's just he had this glimmer in his eye, and he said the normal traditional path is not what I want. We talked about clarity in another video, so you got to be really clear about what you want, and if college supports that plan, then so be it. But a lot of young people specifically, and I was one of them, just kind of drift through life. We don't really think about what we want, therefore we just do what everybody else does. Don't do that. Be clear about what you want. And as these three stories, check them out on the podcast, listen to all three of those as they demonstrate young people are just as much able to get started with real estate investing as someone with 10 or 20 years experience. So let's just be clear. There's no such thing as being too young for a multifamily. So when it comes down to it, ask yourself, what do you want in life? Do you want the traditional path? If so, that's fine. But if you want something else, then what is that? And how can you most directly get to that? And one of the things that all these three success stories have in common is they all found a mentor to work with. Okay, find a mentor to work with in real estate. And a lot of them are even unpaid. Some of them you have to pay. Yes, that's fine, but there's a lot of unpaid one like Cody did. But there's also podcasts like this, there's books. So these are all mentors that can help you. And then you got to take action. You just have to take action and you got to work hard, right? But you already know how to do that. So be clear on what you want and then go after it. So if you're a young person and you want financial freedom right now when you're young, just go after it. Remember, you don't need experience. You can acquire the knowledge you need. You can partner with people. You don't need money. You can raise it for money. You can get right started in multifamily even if you're as young as 19. I'm Michael Blank. Catch you next time.